you heard anything fascinating lately? Have you made any observations
I have one,
lately?
which it's really nothing, but we went to Branson recently
Yes.
and saw a play on Esther, which if you ever go to Branson, that is the number one thing I recommend. It was absolutely fascinating. Huge production. It's like a Broadway show, and it's actually a musical. So obviously there's some liberties taken with the story and stuff.
Sure.
But
I love musicals.
really, really cool. It
don't.
Wow.
It got me emotional at the end of it. Yeah, I'm sure Justin. Okay. Justin, who produces music, or not produces, but
I used to.
yeah. Anyway, in that show, when they're just about to hang Haman. Yeah,
Yep.
sorry. I had a brain fart there. I never realized that hanging back then was actually impaling
Yes.
on a stake. And so they raised up this massive stake, and then they put a bag over his head and like took him out behind the stage. And for a second there, it's like a family friendly show. I looked at everybody. I was like, this is about to go down. And then all of a sudden all the people were just like, yeah. And then the stake went down. So they didn't impale him on the stake. But I never realized that hanging was impaling on a stake, just like Saruman.
Saruman.
Sorry, had to make the Lord of the Rings reference there, but
Even worse, I would say, in Haman's situation. Poor.
Have you seen that
guy.
video of the cat that dips its paw into flour and like hits another cat on the forehead, and so it leaves his paw print?
Saruman.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
It's awesome.
But watching that show made me want to reread Esther. It's been a while since I've read that book. It's just a fascinating story,
It
especially
is
being able to
fascinating.
like see it done in kind of a production. But
What is your opinion on the non-family friendly nature of the Bible?
what?
It's real to
The
human
Bible
life.
is not family friendly.
Okay.
What is your opinion on the fact that the Bible is not family friendly? Like, there's a lot of stuff in there that's sort of like, that wouldn't make it on television. You know, they have to cut that out.
You put Caleb in an awkward spot.
I don't know how to answer that question.
I appreciate about the Bible is that it leaves in moments where humans are their worst.
They're worse.
And that really shows the darkness of the evil that is in the human heart at times, and what Jesus did to really cleanse us of what we can become. And I think that's why we see that in the Bible, is it just shows us this is what evil looks like, and it's raw. It's honest, and that's what I want from something that is I'm going to put my faith in. And that's what I get out of those passages.
And I'm the same way. I'm all about being transparent and real and not fake. And so, because I think that it's important to be real.
If you read those passages and it makes you feel uncomfortable, then you need to look inside yourself and understand, okay, what is it about myself that makes me feel uncomfortable? What are the lies that I'm telling myself? What are the things that I do that make me feel in some way the way I am when I read this? And then this is what I need to work on. This is what I need to go to God with in prayer and really apply Jesus' healing here in this area of my life.
It's fascinating, especially whenever you've got the people of God. That for instance, David, and David shed a lot of blood, and he killed a lot of Philistines. They warred against them. And I would even say one of my favorite movies is a Ridley Scott movie, Kingdom of Heaven. Have you ever seen that?
Classic.
Oh, wow.
So good.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
Very good movie.
I love that movie. And I was actually watching a YouTube short of, I can't even remember the actor's name. He plays Lupin in Harry Potter universe, but I can't remember his name. But he plays the night hospitaler. And then
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
I'll look it up while I'm talking. But effectively, the YouTube short that I was watching was essentially saying that that guy was an angel.
Oh, interesting.
That character was an angel. And so, that's an interesting, concept when you're looking at that. But it's fascinating to see how the Crusades happened. And I studied that to some degree in college, how the Crusades happened in the name of God, in the name of Christ, that they went and they shed their fellow men's blood. And maybe this is a shock to some of the listeners, but Christ never once said to, well, he did arm the disciples, but to prove a point, because Peter drew that sword in the garden and tried to decapitate Marcus.
I think so.
Malcolm. There was the servant of the high priest, it says, and he tries to basically cut his head off, and he lops off his ear. So he missed his head, but he got his ear.
Yes.
Jesus stops the calamity, and he heals the ear, which is amazing. And then they still carry him away to crucify him, and he stops, and then he says, "Those who live by the sword will die by the sword."
Right.
And so Jesus, and his entire point of his ministry is love, and not raising up arms and killing your fellow man. And my question to you earlier, Caleb, was like the family-friendly nature of the Bible is not quite simply the children's stories that we might have grown up with, or that we see in Bible class or Sunday school, as some people say it. And I thought it was a fascinating concept, even for a series of lessons called, well, that's where the Bible class ends. Like Lot's wife, for instance. This is it might be a little dark for an espresso, but Lot's wife turns into a pillar of salt when turning back and disobeying the command of don't look back, right? Always go forward. So Lot's wife does. She turns into a pillar of salt, and then that's where the Bible story ends, right? And then the Bible keeps going. And it talks about how the daughters essentially want to continue the family line with her father. And then that's it. You don't hear any more about Lot. And it's sort of a, whoa, I never heard of that before. And so that's what you were saying, is that humans are capable of the utmost evil and destruction. And any in-depth reading of World War II can show you some of those atrocities that humankind can commit toward one another. And that, as you said, the Bible is always focused on, under Jesus, it's always focused on love.
The book of Judges is another dark book around the same time. And the theme is they did what was right in their own eyes. And if we're looking for application here, when we do what is right in our own eyes instead of God's eyes, then we're going to have serious problems, and we're only going to be able to feed that darkness. My own passions. What are my passions? And Jerry Seinfeld actually had a really good commencement speech the other day, and he said, get rid of passions. I want fascinations. Because we're able to get outside of ourselves in that moment. And even though we may not be excellent at our fascinations, it is a driving force. And I thought that was a really good point.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the deal with passions? Too much?
I think that's about...
You ever done any...
Was that 10 minutes?
David Thewlis was his name.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, he's the actor.
Anyway, take that and go so. If you want to know more about the Bible, or you have any questions, our email is in the description below. You can DM us. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're looking for a church family, or you're in the Lubbock area, we invite you to come visit and hang out with us in Milwaukee. We love for you to find a church who practices the love of Christ.